Some of you are having some glitches. If you are, here are some possible things that you can check, but please feel free to also go to YouTube and type in your specific problem, and more than likely you can find an answer, which is what I did. So if you ever get a screen that looks like this, here's one thing that you can do to solve it. If you never created just one folder where you had everything in it, pictures, music, documents, your file that's saved, Premiere is having difficulties locating all your information. So when you open it, it's like, where did your pictures go? So you get little red flags like that. So you might want to, at this point, really go ahead and create a folder that is book trailer project, whatever you want to call it. Mine is called Final York's Throne of Glass Book Trailer Project. Click into that. Now you see my music folder, my photos folder, and you see my draft, what I'm currently working on in my Adobe Premiere Pro. Now all of these other folders, Adobe put those in here, not me. But notice it's all in the same folder. And anytime Adobe gives you a choice as to where you want the autosave or anything to go, you make sure that you choose your book trailer project folder so that everything is in one spot and Adobe doesn't have to go searching around your computer to locate that information. So create one folder, make sure you have a music folder that only has music in it. So these should only be MP3 or WAV files, although 2015 version doesn't seem to like WAV files. So try to choose MP3 until I figure out what's going on with that. Here are a few YouTube videos that I have found that might be beneficial for you to watch. Since you have the 2015 version and I do not, if something doesn't match up, here's a tutorial. Now, yes, it's an hour and 5 minutes long, but remember, you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can click on it and kind of fast forward until you get to the part of what you're doing. If you're still adding photos, go to that part. If you are adding titles, go to that part. If you're adding music, and so forth. This one, if you like shortcut keys, it looks like this one is showing on the keyboard what you can click to do certain things so that you're not hunting for it. This one's 15 minutes long, but again, fast forward through it and find the information that you need. Some of you never set up your project correctly to begin with, and that also might be one reason why you're having some difficulties. So you might want to click through this so that you're seeing it from the 2015 point of view, but I am going to show you a couple things today. Okay, this particular gentleman, let's see, Chin Fat. Yes, I do believe that's his name. I'll back up and show you that, but he has some videos that are very specific for 2015. Some of you might benefit from this one today, Credits and Titles tutorial, 20 minutes long. Again, fast forward if you do not need all of that information, but he has many that you can look at determining based on where you are in your project. The gentleman's name is Channing Lowe, but his channel is called Chin Fat, as you can see. And these are just some of the titles that he has that you could look through. And then the one that I especially like is this one because there are 49 of them all wrapped up together. So you could click into it and then choose the ones that are most appropriate for what you're doing. Okay, so a few other problems that some of you are having other than not putting your photos, pictures, and everything else in one folder in one location. You need to get familiar with the workspaces. So if you go up to Window, Workspaces, and experiment with different panels, some panels will not let you play your video. So right now in the editing panel, my play button here appears, and I can play my YouTube video, or I'm sorry, Premiere video. But if I go to all panels, it disappears. I can't hit play. So you want to check which workspace you're in to determine whether or not you need to change that. My preference is the Window, Workspace, all panels, because I can see everything that's available to me. But when I want to actually play, then I go to Editing so that my play button appears. Initially, some of you skipped these first two steps, and it's causing you some problems, but you can work around it. If you have not added your pictures yet, or if you have added them but you haven't really done much with them, it might benefit you to go ahead and delete them from your timeline and do this first. Go to File, New, sorry about that, and Sequence. And please make sure you chose Digital SLR 1080p, and then when you open up that box, 1080p 25. If some of you chose 1030, that's okay. I've watched different YouTube videos. Not much difference between the two. Call it anything that you want because you're only going to have one sequence. But that was one step. And that's primarily the reason why some of you, when you go to adjust your pictures or add your title slides, you're having to change the number at the top to 1920 and 1080. You just need to go through, write those numbers down because you're going to have to do it on every title slide you make. Whereas if you had done this, those numbers would have already been in the format when you clicked on a title slide. The other thing that some of you did not do was go to Edit, Preferences, and for me it's Timeline. For you it would be Edit, Preferences, and General. But when you click on that, General or Timeline, this came up. And you needed to make sure that this was changed to seconds. And some of you are finding that if your video is over 2 minutes long, then you need to shorten your default duration for all of your slides to maybe 3 seconds. I put mine at 2, but maybe 3 would work for you. 1 second for the audio transition, and this is default set to 1 second. For the video transition, I reduce mine to half a second. So you might want to take a look at that. And then, let's see. Some of you are at the point where you need to check to verify that there's enough time in your timeline to read your text slides. You need to make sure that you add at least transitions around your text slides before you start reading them, because they do reduce the length of your text slide by just a little bit. And again, can't emphasize how important this is. Please, when you're reading the text out loud, slowly, it's better for your text to be 1 second too long than 1 second too short. If it's 1 second too short, you will lose points. So read it like this. The Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Selena Sardathian still remembers a time of love, family, happiness, and safety. I might need to lengthen that one. However, the evil king of Adarlan murdered Selena's parents, burned the countryside, and killed or imprisoned as many of Terrasen's citizens as possible. I need to lengthen that text slide. After running for her life, 8-year-old had to jump into the freezing river to save herself from death. I'm okay on that one. Brabham Hamel, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, found Selena on the riverbanks. He promised to take care of her and train her to become his personal assassin. And then I have a few pictures in a row, which I'm going to shorten the length because I want them to kind of be a boom, boom, boom. And those are the only slides that I have so far. But notice I have my transitions because some of these, the length was fine until I added the transitions. Now, some of the slides benefit if you have the transition between the pictures and the titles, but it depends on which slide it is or which transition it is. Notice I don't have one here because it just didn't work. It made it look a little odd. The other one is the one right before this girl. Notice she spins twice. So if I remove this transition, so just right click and clear, click and clear, and then I hit play, she only circles once. So it's just kind of fiddling around with the transitions. But please go through all of your text slides and make sure that there is enough time to read them. Once you finish that, go to your first text slide and you need to highlight. And again, some of you are going to have to go up to Window, Workspace, Editing, but you have to highlight your text. In 2015, you might be able to right click to copy. In my version, I have to go up to Edit, Copy, and then you want to go ahead and paste that information onto a Word doc. Now you can paste it in sentences, but I've noticed that if you click right behind that sentence and right click paste, it will show up right next to it. But if you did not do that, then you just want to put it into paragraph form. And again, you don't want just one long paragraph of 10 to 12 sentences. Try to at least split it in half based on content if you change topics. Some of you might even have 3 paragraphs instead of 2. This is what we're going to send in to that website on the Collier County Public Library, which is why you need your public library card. But please fix your major errors. When you put it on the Word doc, you're going to see certain things that you can go ahead and fix. Capital letters at the beginning of sentences, punctuation at the end, if there are any spelling errors. So go ahead and fix as much as you can before we send it in. And then finally, you're going to want to add your audio. Remember, adding your audio will be the very last thing that you do because you're going to want your audio to match up with the pictures as they go through, since you're going to have 3 different clips of music, because I'm sure there are parts of your book that are more calm or sad or happy, and then other parts that are intense, fast-paced action or suspenseful, and you're going to want your music to match those slides. So in order to do that, for those of you ready to add your music, you find your folder, again, book trailer folder, and then go to your music folder. Okay, move this over so I can actually see it. right, so I'm going to go ahead and add, or double click, I should say, one of them, and it should show up here. Now, if double click doesn't work for you for 2015, you need to kind of experiment with it. But in this window, you can kind of edit it, because when you drop it into your timeline, it's going to be very long depending on how long your project is. Now, another nice thing, these bars over here kind of let you know how loud the music is. If you're up in the red too much, you're going to want to lower the volume. So this is kind of pretty low-key, boring. I'm not sure I'm going to want to use this, but let's try bringing it forward a little bit. Yeah, this isn't one I'm going to want to use, but for purposes of showing you how to cut it, this is just one way. Notice this says mark in, which you can use the shortcut key on your keyboard of I, and then mark out, shortcut keyboard of O. But if I go back, let's say here, I've listened to it, and I think, okay, I don't like that beginning part, so I'm going to put a mark in because this is where I want my audio to start. And then I listen to it, and I only want maybe just a few seconds of this. And I want it to stop here. Notice it deletes everything except that area that I chose. And then I just drag this down to my timeline, in which case I think I need my selection tool key. Or for my version, I have to drag audio from here. There we go. Now remember the keys here, if you have a video, you can drag just the video, which remember if you do happen to use a video clip, it cannot be longer than 10 seconds. But if you found a song that you like and there's a video attached to it, you can drag down just the audio from that video to your timeline. And then when you add the next audio, let's see. Let's try this one. Okay, that one's better. Kind of hard to hear. Okay, I definitely like that one. Let's hear how it ends. Okay, that has a nice ending, so it might be something that I would want to put at the very end of my book trailer, or, okay, beginning of mine is pretty happy, so I wouldn't want that for the beginning. But this would also work for the middle of my project. So I might want to put my end cut here and then go all the way and back it up because I'm not going to want it to stop. And then my end cut there. Click on that and drag it down. Now notice I put it in the other audio line, audio 1 and audio 2. Let me zoom in on that. Okay, now you'll notice I made the audio lines larger because I can really see the intensity of the music. And I'm thinking that I'm going to want to shorten this clip a little bit more, yes. because about right here, it pretty much stops being happy. So there's also a tool here called Eraser Tool. So you can click on that, drag it over to wherever your blue line here is, and cut it. And then go back to your selection tool. Let's see if I can remember how to delete this. Somebody said I could use clear or cut to get rid of it. And then again on the selection tool, I can drag this over. And if I cross them over just a little bit, I can put in the fade in and fade out, but again, play with this. If you have it right where they meet or on the same line, you're going to hear that change abruptly. Okay, so if, however, we drag this down, move it over a little bit, not that much, and this is when moving this bar comes into play, makes it a little easier to move things around. There we go, so just a little bit. And then we do a transition. So we'll go to our audio transitions. So we'll come up to audio. Okay, my audio transitions were not under audio. That would make sense. Under effects, and then come over here and you see audio effects, audio transitions. We'll click there, crossfade, and there aren't too many to choose from. From what I read, I believe it's constant power is the best one. Don't take my word for it. Feel free to look that one up. But if that's highlighted in blue, then when you click here, and I believe it's right click, but let me make sure, or you might have to drag it down. And for my version versus your version, might be two different things. So there we go. I just clicked on it and dragged it down. And so basically what this has done is it's going to have this one slowly fade out, this one slowly fade in as they cross over. So let's see what it sounds like. Okay, I'm going to have some work to do on that one. I might have it go a little further, a little less, do some more research, because there is a way to have this stay louder, have this one come in a little softer. Maybe I need to trim it to where the part of this song is a little quieter than this one. I can also, I believe, extend this a little bit and then move it so that it doesn't come in so abruptly. Come on. All right, let's see if that makes a difference. But again, it's just a matter of playing around with things. Still not quite how I'd like it, but I'll take a whirl with it. Let me know when you have your text titles completed and copy and pasted onto a Microsoft Word doc. Make sure you have your public library card. Go ahead and log into the public library, and then I will show you where to go so that you can upload your document to, I think it was Brainfuse, but I'm not 100% sure, but we can look for it and upload it because you need to put in your name and your email, and then there's about a 24-hour turnaround. So since we have a week and a half left before these are due, you cannot wait until the last minute to get your document uploaded to the public library. You're going to want to do that in the next day or two. So put off your pictures, put off your music. You can always do that while you're waiting for your text to come back with grammar errors, spelling errors corrected. So let's get your text copied from your text slides onto a document so that we can get that part done. Have fun today.